For all those who are following and viewing Mysteries of Motherhood, it's a new YouTube channel that started recently in July, and you can read the description below and get to know what this platform is all about. But today I have an encouraging word to mothers. I know friends of mine and different women who have given up on their dreams just because they have become mothers. I know some who have just decided to stay home and take care of their children, and that I'm not saying that is bad. That is actually good, but if the reason behind it is because you feel being a mother you cannot achieve your dreams or live to your full potential, so you choose to just give up on your dreams and give up on yourself and just look at caring for your children, I'm here to encourage you. I want to encourage you to rise up again and pursue your dreams as a mother. There's a lot of dreams and a lot of goals and a lot of passion and a lot of purpose that is hidden inside of you as a mother. And I know that motherhood is a gift. Motherhood is not something that is meant to stop you from dreaming and living to your full potential. Motherhood is a gift, and there is potential in you to rise up again as a mother. Be a good mother, but also pursue your dreams and live to your full potential. When I had my second baby, I actually had a very difficult pregnancy. Fast forward, I'm a midwife, and I have cared for mothers in labor, in pregnancy, and I had a healthy pregnancy. My first pregnancy was healthy and uncomplicated. All went well. But when I had my second baby, it was tough. One, it was unplanned pregnancy. I did not plan for it. And when I discovered that I was pregnant, I went through denial for about 2 months. I was wondering, how could this happen? Like, I've been on family planning, how could I be pregnant? And being a Christian, abortion was not an option for me. I struggled to accept that I was actually pregnant. I had emotional trauma, and the time I discovered that I was pregnant, 2 weeks later, the president declared a lockdown. So I was home. My husband was locked in another district. I was home alone with my little boy, who was then 11 months. And by that time he was actually sickly. Now I have this 11 months old baby, and then I am pregnant, and then I'm alone and I'm going through denial. So later during the lockdown, when I accepted the pregnancy, I gathered all the confidence that I could get to go for this one antenatal visit. And the place I went to was the same place where I had my first baby. And during my visit, at some point I had to go to another unit to get a tetanus toxoid vaccine that all pregnant mothers get. And then while I went to that unit, I found a nurse who had actually immunized my baby when he was born, my first baby. And now, less than a year later, I am back to her unit to get a TT vaccination for this pregnancy that I'm carrying. But what shocked me is that the moment this nurse saw me, she just said, "You are Musawa and you're always pregnant every year." Literally meaning, you're a midwife, you're a health worker, and you're pregnant every year. What kind of example are you setting for mothers? You're getting pregnant every year. She didn't listen to my story. She didn't know what I was going through. She didn't even understand the circumstances under which I got this pregnancy. She didn't even know that for this visit, I gathered all the courage to come, and this is how she welcomed me. I felt so hurt. I felt so disappointed. And she shouted at me, like she said this before all mothers were lining up there for vaccination. That made my pregnancy even much more difficult. I went back home. I remember going back home and thinking on the way, like, if this nurse knew my story, she wouldn't have shouted at me. She wouldn't even say those judgmental statements to me. But I struggled with all those words that she said to me. And I kept blaming myself. I kept thinking, how would I be pregnant? I blamed myself. I felt guilty. I felt like this is not the right time for me to be having this baby. I had no option. I went back into denial. It was a long period of denial and trying to console myself, trying to come to terms with being pregnant. Well, to cut the whole story short is that I carried my baby until when I was 8 months. That's a time when there were a lot of COVID deaths, announcements, and including people that I knew were on oxygen. So every time you switched on TV, it was bad news after bad news. I got so scared. I developed anxiety. And before I knew it, my blood pressure went up, and later I was diagnosed with pregnancy-induced hypertension. Well, when I gave birth to my baby, I expected my blood pressure to normalize, because we usually believe, or we've also seen in practice, that mothers who have pregnancy-induced hypertension, their blood pressure usually goes back to normal after childbirth. But for me, it did not, and for a few other women, it may not go back for some time. Well, when I went back home after I was discharged from the hospital, I discovered that my baby had breastfeeding issues. He could not put his tongue down. He kept his tongue at the roof of his mouth. And that was very stressing, because I had breast milk, but I could not breastfeed my own child. I went into depression. Slowly by slowly, I slipped deeper and deeper into depression. I got depressed, I got anxious, and then my blood pressure, of course, kept going up, shooting up, and coming down and shooting up again. It was a tough season as a mother. It was a difficult one. I needed someone to talk to, but because I'm a midwife, everyone expected me to understand and to know what to do. And that made my healing really difficult. But along the way, a friend of mine introduced me to a counselor, and this counselor created space to listen to me, share my fears and share my story. And she allowed me space to cry about the things that hurt me concerning this journey of motherhood. And that was the start of my healing. This journey that I walked with her of healing included exercise, nutrition, and dieting. And one of the things that stood out for me is the attitude of gratitude. She told me every day, wake up, note something about your life, about your house, about your experience in motherhood, something positive that you appreciate, and make sure that you note that thing every day in the morning, first thing you wake up. I started on the journey of gratitude, and later I discovered that actually there's a lot that I could learn from this experience that could help me. And as a result of that experience, I've written a book called Mysteries of Motherhood. It's the reason I'm here. I've started a women health club group where mothers have a platform to share about their stories and get emotional support. To cut the story short, after a few, it's now a year and a half, and my blood pressure is normal. It normalized long time ago. Cholesterol levels went down. I cut my weight from 81 to 65.8. Lately, I traveled to the US, and I put on 2 more extra kgs that I'm working on reducing. But before I traveled, I was 65.8 kilograms. I am happy. I love my body. I feel good. I feel great. I know that I can achieve my dreams. I'm working on my dreams. I know that I can be a good mother. By the way, I need to let you know that later my baby started breastfeeding well. He's now 1 year and 7 months. He's a happy boy. I want to tell you that motherhood is a gift. Nothing should make you feel like motherhood is a curse. Nothing should make you feel like motherhood is the end of your dreams. It is not. Rise up again. Put on your shoes and show up. Show up. Doesn't matter what is happening in the background. Show up. Show up to the stage and live your dreams.